Welcome to our class. I'm Mr. Despina.
I'm Mr. Fitzpatrick.
I'm Mrs. Clark.
And I'm Mr. Kelleher, and today we are going to introduce to you solving systems of linear equations by elimination and substitution. Alright, the first method we're going to start with is substitution. So as you may remember from yesterday's class, a system of equations contains of two things. That would be two separate equations, each of which has two variables. Traditionally, you'll see those variables expressed as x and y. There are 5 steps to performing substitution to solve a system of equations and get an answer for either variable. Step 1 is to pick a variable. It doesn't matter which one you pick, they just take different steps to complete, but we'll see that as we walk through. The second step to solving by substitution is to pick one equation and isolate that variable on one side of the equation. The third step is to plug in or substitute the resulting expression into the other equation that we haven't already worked with. The fourth step is to solve the new equation for the other variable that we didn't pick before. And the last step will be to take that value and plug it into either of the two given equations to get an answer for the original variable. These 5 steps will work on any system of equations. It just gets a little bit complex depending on which variable you pick and what the coefficients are. But shortly, Ms. Clark is going to walk us through an example so we can see how this works in action.
Okay, so now we're going to be doing an example using substitution. So our first step is that we're going to pick an equation to work with. I'm going to choose this equation. And we have to choose a variable to solve for. I'm going to solve for x. So if I move this over here, get 6x plus 12y equals 12. If we solve for x, we have to subtract 12y from both sides. So we get 6x equals 12 minus 12y. Now we have to divide by 6. So we get x equals 2 minus 2y. Our next step is to take this x value and plug it into our other equation over here. So I originally have 2x plus 3y equals 14. If I plug in 2 minus 2y for x, get 2 times 2 minus 2y plus 3y equals 14. Distribute the 2 here and get 4 minus 4y plus 3y equals 14. Combine like terms and get 4 minus y equals 14. Subtract 4 on both sides and then divide by the negative to get y equals negative 10. Now I'm going to take this y value and plug it into either equation to solve for my x value. So if I use this equation, I would get 6x plus 12 times negative 10 equals 12. 6x minus 120 equals 12. Add 120 to both sides. 6x equals 132. Divide by 6. Get x equals 22. And that's how we solve by substitution.
Thank you so much for watching our video on how to solve systems of linear equations by substitution. We hope you enjoyed.
To learn more about another way to solve systems of linear equations, elimination, you could check out Mr. Fitzpatrick's and Mr. Despina's video on their website.